Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my weekly Scriptures for Thoughts video show. I'm your host the most, Preacher Anthony Aunt Cheesy Walker. Now, my sermon topic for today is from an obstacle, then comes opportunity. Throughout time and space and time, when things get in our way in our life, like work, relationships, and family life, and like in our environment, that sometimes we have to reorganize and restructure everything to turn everything into from an obstacle to opportunity. My first example is Samson. Samson, when he was outnumbered by about 2,000 Philistines, and then Samuel made a riddle to the 2,000 Philistines. Now that was the obstacle. The obstacle was there was 2,000 Philistines that was in Samson's way. Here's the opportunity. Then Samson used a donkey's jawbone and killed 2,000 Philistines with it. Now that was the opportunity, and he saved Israel. Here's Samson, our first example of when there's obstacles, then there's when there's obstacles, then there's opportunity. A second example is Zacchaeus, the chief tax collector. That he listened to the immediate words of Jesus. Now here's the obstacle. The obstacle was Israel had like a stereotype disrespect of the tax collectors, and Zacchaeus was a chief tax collector. Now here's the opportunity. Now Zacchaeus, he confessed to Jesus and said, "Today, here now, I pay back everything that I owe everybody. If I cheat anybody out of the same amount, I'll pay back 4 times the amount." Then Jesus said to Zacchaeus and the people of Israel, and in the group into Zacchaeus' house, "Today salvation has came to this home because the Son of Man came to seek what was lost." And Jesus and Zacchaeus and Jesus was the second example of when there's obstacles, then there's opportunity. Now here's the third example. Here's the third example of when there's an obstacle, then there's opportunity. Our third example is our third example would be our third example would be turn back to third example of the third examples is Jesus as a Samaritan woman. Here's the obstacle. The obstacle was racial ethnical boundaries between the Samaritan woman and Jesus. And then after that, then Jesus asked the Samaritan woman, "Will you please give me a drink?" The Samaritan woman said, "I am a Samaritan, you are a Jew. How can you say, 'give me a drink'?" Then Jesus uses as the icebreaker and says, "If you recognize who I am, the Son of Man, that asked you for a drink, I will give you a drink. It'll be a drink of welling up to eternal life." Then the Samaritan woman said, "Well, please give me that water. Give me that water to drink." And then Jesus said, First bring your husband." Then the Samaritan woman lied to Jesus and said, "And guess what? I do not have no husband." Then Jesus said, "The real fact is you have 5 husbands, and the husband you have now is not your husband." And then the Samaritan woman said, wow, you have revealed everything about me. And then the Samaritan woman said, well, after we find the Son of Man, the Messiah, I'll bring you to him. Then Jesus said, I, who you speak to, I am he, Jesus, Son of Man, the Messiah. Now here's my third example of Jesus and the Samaritan woman, was a third example of when there's an obstacle, then there's an opportunity. Our last example is in the Old Testament, is Jehoiada the priest. Here's the obstacle. Jehoiada the priest had, like Josiah, has an uncrowned king, was hidden into a nursing home by the nurses, by overruled by Jehoiada the priest. Here's the obstacle. Jehoiada the priest was facing the ruthless kingdom led by the mother queen Attila. And then all of a sudden Jehoiada had all the subjects around Attila to go against her, and then he had the people pronounce Jehoshaphat king. Hail King Jehoshaphat. And then Attila, the mother queen said, treason, treason. Then you know what happened? Then Jehoiada overruled her, and then he had all those soldiers, all the subjects and soldiers, to take the mother queen Attila and killed her. And then they placed Jehoshaphat as the king. The opportunity was they placed Jehoshaphat, King Josiah, as king of Israel, because he was the son of the slain king of the slain king in the older times. In the older times of I believe it's like his father was her father was his father was Ammon. His father was Ammon. And then they placed King Josiah and placed him as king of Israel for like 40 years. And now here's the conclusion. The next time when you deal with an obstacle that you think is impossible to handle, you give it to God. You give it to God in prayer, and then you do then you apply the faith in Jesus, faith in God, and faith and apply your deeds by action, and then God will open the door to make the impossible obstacle to be possible, to be moved out of the way, to be an opportunity for you to shine like the sun. Now, as for in my apartment room in Allerton Avenue, Bronx, New York City, where everybody works hard, hustle the wise way, do a down payment investments, be all clean and spiffy, all up in my apartment room, Allerton Avenue, Bronx, New York City. Now, as for my weekly Scripture for Thought video show, a Bronx special, I'm your host and most, Preacher Anthony Walker said, Papa, so long, under that time for rap.